Good afternoon. This is Olu Ashekun here. Welcome to our podcast every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. You are welcome. Today, we are discussing issues about green card. What do you need to do if you are outside the United States? Something. So what do I do? Okay. Sorry about that. We are discussing green card today. What do you do if you are outside the United States and your green card expired while you are outside the United States? Or you are outside the United States and you lost your green card? Or similar situations. Maybe your green card is stolen. Maybe you lost your green card while you are outside the United States. So what do you do? How do you come back into the country? That is what we are discussing today. There could be a lot of things that could happen when people travel outside the United States. And maybe you traveled and your green card is about to expire, and then maybe you had thought you will be back before the expiration, but something happened and you are unable to return before the green card expired. So the question is, what do you do if your green card expired while you are outside the United States? Another issue is, what if your green card was stolen? Maybe you lost your passport, you lost your green card or something. Maybe it was stolen or you lost it. So what do you do? How do you return to the United States? Those are the things that we are discussing today. So if you have any question relating to that topic, start sending in your questions. So we are discussing green card, missing, losing, or stolen green card while you are outside the United States. So what do you do? How do you return to the United States? That is the topic of today. Now, while waiting for questions, I'm going to quickly go over it. There are a few situations, and I've seen lawyers mix these things up. Even I've seen immigration lawyers who don't know the technicality of what we are about to discuss. Because there are some specific steps, and if you don't take those steps, you will be stranded outside the United States. You may not be able to come back into the country. But if you know the right thing to do, you'll come back easily and smoothly as if nothing happened. So, I'm going to break the conversation today into two. The first one is expired green card. The second one is stolen or lost green card. Like I said, there are a few situations and there are two options to come back into the country. One option is called SB1. Another option is called boarding foil. Now, the difference between the two steps, let's say, especially for elderly people who are not particularly keen in staying in the US. I know a lot of Africans who will petition for their parents will have green card, they will return home, and then ordinarily a green card holder is not supposed to stay outside of the country for up to 1 year or more than 1 year. When you stay outside the country for a year or more, there is a presumption that you intend to abandon your permanent residency. So that situation, SB1 is not applicable for that situation. Boarding foil is not applicable for that situation. I want you to get the difference. Like I said, this is a very technical topic, and I'm going to take my time to break it down in such a way that we will understand it. But it will be better if you have specific questions that you want me to address. You can also start sending in your questions. Now, if you have a green card, especially 10-year green card, you are required to live in the US. Of course, you are not in prison. You can travel outside of the country. If you travel outside of the country for a period of 6 months or more, then the number of days, weeks, months, or years that you have accrued towards citizenship will be erased, and you have to start all over again. If you are required to be a permanent resident for 5 years, and maybe you have been here for 3 years, and then you decide to go out of the country, and then you spend 6 months outside the country, for the purpose of citizenship, that 3 years will be erased. That 3 years that you have spent here, physical presence, will be erased. So when you come back, you start the 5 years all over again. You start counting from day one. Now, if you stay outside the country for a year or more, there is a presumption that you abandon your permanent residency. So if you attempt to come back in, you may not be allowed to come back into the country. So in order to overcome the presumption, you will have to show evidence that you actually did not intend to abandon your permanent residence. Evidence could include family members living here, evidence that you file your tax return annually, evidence that you have a job that you didn't abandon, evidence that you have a bank account that you are running, other evidence that shows your commitment to the United States. Now, if on the other hand, your green card expired while you are there, now you have the presumption to battle with. You've been there maybe for a year or more, or even for less than a year, but your green card has expired. How are you going to come back? The airline is not going to bring you in because they will be fearful that they may be liable if they bring you in. Now, if you have a 10-year green card and your green card has recently expired, some airlines, not all, some airlines, and it also depends on from which country you are coming from, some airlines may bring you in without any problem. But majority, 90% of the time, airlines will not bring you in. So what do you do in such a situation? Now, if your green card expired while you are there, you will need to apply for what is called SB1, or you can apply for boarding foil. Now, you complete, I think it's from I-131A. You pay the filing fee. It's $575 if I recollect correctly. You pay the filing fee on Ellis. You pay it online on Ellis. Now, you schedule an appointment. You send an email to the specific embassy, to the specific U.S. embassy in the country where you are. Then they will respond to your email with an appointment. So you attend an appointment at the U.S. embassy in the country where you are. Now, the embassy will give you what is called a boarding foil. That boarding foil is a document that is like a visa, but of course, is an immigrant visa. It is usually valid for 30 days. It is a document that is valid only for 30 days. And it is a one-time use document. It's not the kind of document that you can use multiple times. It is called boarding foil. So it's like a visa. This visa, they will give you, and it is valid for 30 days. Today is November 29. If they give you a boarding foil today, it will expire by December 28. It is only valid for 30 days, and it is a one-time use document. So in other words, if you use that document, if the airline bring you to the US, if for any reason you step out of the US again, you cannot use that same document to come back in. It is a one-time use document and it is valid only for 30 days. It is called boarding foil. Now, you do the same thing. You apply for boarding foil if your green card was stolen. The only challenge you are going to have if your green card was stolen is that you need something to show that you are actually a permanent resident. So if you can get a copy, picture of it, or even if you know your alien number in your head, but you need something, because you can't just go to the embassy and tell them you want to apply for boarding foil. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to show something that will let them be able to assess your identity, something that they can hang on to verify your identity, something they can hang on to know, to confirm or to verify that you are actually a permanent resident. Now, when we are talking about boarding foil, it doesn't matter whether your green card is 10 years or 2 years. It doesn't matter. For as long as you are a permanent resident, either a conditional permanent resident or a permanent resident with 10-year green card, for as long as your green card was lost or stolen, you can apply for boarding foil. The procedure again, you complete Form I-131A. You complete and sign it. You attach 2 passport photographs, 2 inch by 2 inch white background. You pay the filing fee online on Ellis. You pay it online on Ellis. Then you attach proof of your permanent resident. If it's a copy of your green card, if it's maybe your alien number, if it's a copy of your approval letter, whatever you have that can give the embassy the resources to assess your status, to know who you are, to assess your identity. Even if you have your passport, if it is the same passport that you use to apply for the green card, they can use that to assess your information, but they need something. You also provide copies of your ticket, the ticket that you use to travel outside the United States, your outgoing ticket and your return ticket. You need all these things, and then you send an email to the US Embassy in the country where you travel to, and then the embassy will respond to that email with an appointment. They give you an appointment and you go for the appointment, and then they give you an immigrant visa that is called boarding foil. It is a one-time use document and it is only valid for 30 days. So if you are not ready to return, don't do it, because if you apply and you don't use it, you are going to have to do the process all over again. And all the fees when it comes to boarding foil is non-refundable. So it is important that you understand the requirement and you are sure that you be eligible, you meet the requirement before you apply, because it is non-refundable. Once you apply, so even if you are not eligible, your money will not be refunded. So it's a non-refundable process. So it is called boarding foil. Okay, it's like questions have started coming in. So let's see. Good day. I got my 2-year green card in November 2018 and left the US. Until now, I'm in Ghana with the... No, I think I'm reading it wrong. Okay, sorry. The first question, when you are returning to the US with SB1, could CBP interview you again? Well, CBP will do whatever they do to permanent resident. I mean, when you return to the US as a permanent resident Whatever CBP does to permanent resident is what they will do to you. SB1 visa is treated as a green card, so there's no difference. So if you return to the US with a green card, if CBP have reasons to interview green card holder, then they can still interview you. But if usually they don't interview green card holder, they may not interview you. So it's not different in any way. It's not treated separately from green card. Once you are given SB1 visa, you are treated exactly the same way you will be treated as a permanent resident. The next question. Good day. I got my 2-year green card in November 2018 and left the US. Until now, I am in Ghana with the expired green card. Can I still go back to the US and renew it since I'm still married to my husband? Well, this is a different scenario. This is a different situation that is different from the topic we are discussing today. Because from this question, this is a 2-year green card. It's a conditional green card. So usually at the expiration of the green card, if you did not apply for an extension, what we call removal of condition, if you did not apply for removal of condition, the green card automatically not meant to remove a condition. It is only applicable to people who already have that status. In this particular case, at the expiration of your green card, at the expiration of the 2-year green card, you no longer have permanent resident status. So if you did not apply to extend your status or to remove the condition, then you are not a permanent resident. So SB1 is not applicable to your situation. So this is completely different. Even if you are married to a US citizen, if they gave you a conditional green card, if you don't apply to remove the condition at the expiration of 2 years, you lose your permanent resident status. So it is not your marriage that will extend the green card. It is not automatic. You still have to apply to request that the condition on your permanent residency be removed. So if you fail to do that, to take that step, SB1 or boarding foil cannot fix that problem. The next question. Hello, hi sir, can I travel 2 months before my green card expired? Oh yes, you can travel if you plan to come back before the expiration. If you plan to come back before the expiration, you can travel. You cannot intentionally travel out of the country when you knew that your green card is about to expire, except if it is based on circumstances beyond your control, in which case you can apply for boarding foil or travel SB1 in order to come back into the country. But for as long as you re-enter the country before the expiration, even if it is the day is going to expire that you come back, you will still be allowed to come back into the country. The next question. My green card has expired since 2017 from asylee and living abroad since 2012. Can I go back to USA or what should I do? Well, if your green card expired since 2017, even if you go back to apply for SB1, you will still have to show that you did not intend to abandon your permanent residency. As I explained before, when you stay out of the US for 1 year or more, there is a presumption, there is a statutory presumption that you abandon your permanent residency. So if you did not intend to abandon your permanent residency, you must have documentary evidence to show that. So even if you apply for SB1, it's not guaranteed that you'll be approved, because you have to show evidence that you did not abandon your permanent residency. Have you been filing your annual tax return as required by law? Do you have an account here in the US that you continue to operate? Do you have family members here that you do not intend to sever your relationship with? I mean, do you have a job that was kept for you, or do you have circumstances beyond your control that kept you out of the country for that long? I mean, maybe due to sickness, maybe doctors certify that you cannot travel long distance. So if you have any of this evidence, you have to provide the evidence. It is not just enough for you to just suddenly wake up 6 years after the expiration of your green card and say, oh, I want to return to the US as a permanent resident. No, you have to show evidence that you did not intend to abandon your permanent residency. So if you have those evidence, yes, you can go back to the embassy and apply for SB1 visa. The next question: do I need a police report for boarding foil if my green card was stolen? Oh yes, oh yes. If your green card was stolen, you will need a police report to show that your green card was stolen. You will need a police report. You will need any form of evidence that you may have to show that you actually have a green card. Maybe a picture of the green card, a photocopy of the green card, a copy of your approval letter, maybe you know your alien number, something that have to show. You also need to provide the ticket that you travel with, because that is another thing that the embassy can use to verify your status. Usually before your travel, the airline will have verified your permanent resident status. So it is possible that the embassy will get the information through the airline. So even if you don't have any other document. So that is why you will need your ticket, the outgoing ticket, the return ticket. You will need all of that. More importantly, if you have a picture of your green card, that will really be helpful. This is a wake up call for everybody listening to me. If you have any major identifying document like driver's license, green card, passport, take a picture of it and email to yourself. So even if your phone is lost, you can still access email through any other computer, through any other electronic device. So always make sure, take a picture. Is it your passport? Is it your driver's license? Is it your green card? Even if it is your employment authorization, take a picture of it and email it to yourself. That way, if you find yourself in a situation where your green card is stolen or you lost it, you will at least have access to a copy, and that will help you with the boarding foil process, because with that copy, it will be easier for the embassy to identify you, to actually verify and confirm who you are, and then be able to issue the visa to you. So you will complete the form I-131A. You will pay the fee on Ellis. I think it's $575. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, once you get to the form, you can check the fee. In addition to that, you will provide 2 passport photographs, 2-inch by 2-inch white background. You will provide copies of your ticket, the outgoing ticket, the return ticket. You provide evidence of your green card. If you have a picture of your green card, you attach it. If it's a picture of your approval letter, even if it's a picture of your work authorization, because at the end of the day, it is the A number, the alien number, that the embassy is going to use from that information to identify you. They will also need your ticket, because usually when you travel out of the country, the airline will have checked your green card before you depart. So they may be able to access that information through the airline. So these are the documents that you will need, and then you send an email to the embassy. Once you send an email to the embassy, they will review it and send you a reply to your email with an appointment, ask you to come to the embassy on a particular day, and then they give you the boarding foil. The boarding foil is a visa, but it's a one-time use visa, and it is valid only for 30 days. And of course, if your green card was stolen, you will need a police report. Very important. The next question. Can you travel with a damaged green card? Well, if you are out of the country, coming back into the country, yes, for as long as your information is visible. For as long as your information is visible. But if you are inside the US and you are planning to travel, if your green card is already damaged, it's better to just apply for a replacement. Even if you need to travel urgently, the moment you apply for replacement and they issue a receipt notice, you can actually schedule an appointment at immigration office and have your passport stamped. So if you do all of that, it will be much easier for you. But if the green card is damaged to the extent that the information is not visible, you may encounter some challenges. But if you are outside of the United States, I mean, even if the information is not visible, you can apply for boarding foil. The next question. How long will it take to get boarding foil? Well, it varies from embassy to embassy. I mean, it varies. But if you have all the requirements, you can get it within a week. If you have all the requirements. Usually, when you complete the form, you pay the fee online, pay it online on Ellis, get the passport photograph, get copies of your travel ticket, your outgoing ticket, your return ticket, get copy of the green card if you have it. If it was stolen, get a copy of the report it and obtain a copy of the police report. With all these things, send an email to the embassy. Usually, you will get your boarding foil within. In fact, I've seen people get it within 3 days. So you could get it within 3 days to 1 week. The next question: what happens if I travel without my green card? I don't see how you can travel without your green card. I mean, if you I'm not sure any airline will sell a return ticket to you without a green card. I really don't know how that works. But if for any reason you travel without your green card, to come back in, definitely you will need a boarding foil. You will need a boarding foil. There's no way around it. You will need a boarding foil to come back in if you travel without your green card. The next question: what happens if I stay more than 6 months outside the US with green card? Well, if you stay outside the US for more than 6 months with your green card, nothing happens to your green card. Your green card is still valid. The only thing is that for the purpose of citizenship, you will not be eligible for citizenship. When you return to the US, you have to start the physical presence requirement. You have to start all over again. In other words, if your category is to be a permanent resident for 5 years, whatever number of years that you have spent before the 6 months, those years will be erased. So whenever you return, you have to start the 5 years all over again. If your category is 3 years, then it means that the number of years that you have spent in the US, those years will be erased the moment you spend 6 months outside the country. So when you return, you have to start your 3 years all over again for the purpose of citizenship. But if you are not planning to apply for citizenship, if your plan is just to keep your green card, then nothing happens. Just come. How long can you live outside the US without losing green card? Well, I think I just answered that question too. But at the same time, let me explain this. Let me be clear about this. There is a difference. There are 3 things here that we need to understand. 3 separate things. The first one is losing your green card. You don't lose your green card because you stay outside the US for 6 months or more. it is only when you stay outside the US for more than 1 year or more, that is when the issue of presumption of abandonment, that is when that comes in. The risk of losing your green card, that is when that comes to play. The second issue is citizenship. Citizenship is not the same thing as losing your green card, and the requirements are not the same. For anybody to become a US citizen, there is a requirement of physical presence. There is a number of years that you must be physically present in the US. So if your category, whatever your category is, whenever you stay outside of the US for 6 months or more, you erase whatever number of years that you have spent. So whenever you return to the country, you start the process all over again for the purpose of citizenship. Now, the third one, very important, it depends on where you are outside the country and what you are doing and on what ground you stay outside the country. For example, if you are in active military duty, even if you stay years outside the country, it does not affect your green card. If you are in active military duty, it does not affect your green card. If you are working for a United States corporation outside of the US, it does not affect your green card. Now, when we are talking about United States corporation, it has to be a corporation that whose interest is to promote the United States. Not that you can just go and register a business and say, oh, my company, the law office of Oluwaseun, I'm going to be working for the law office of Oluwaseun in South Africa. No, if you do that, you will lose your green card. But if you are working, let's say, for Mobile USA in South Africa, yes, you will not lose your green card. Even if you stay outside the country for more than 1 year, it doesn't affect your green card because so it does not affect your green card. The last exception is if you are working for an American non-profit organization. Let's say you are working for American Red Cross outside the US. Staying outside of the US does not affect your green card in such situations because these are organizations that are American organizations and they will continue to pay you in dollars. They will continue to treat you as an American employee. They will continue to comply with all labor laws in the United States. They will continue to treat you. You will continue to contribute into Social Security. You will continue to contribute into Medicare. You will continue to pay federal taxes. You will continue to do everything that an American employee or an American worker is doing. So you are not going to lose anything in such situation. But with the exception of those, if you stay outside of the US for 6 months, you lose your ability to become a citizen. And if you stay outside of the US for 1 year or more, there is a presumption that you abandon your permanent residency. The next question. Can you be deported because of an expired green card? No, you cannot. Let me be very clear. I assume that this person is talking about somebody who is physically present in the US with an expired green card. If you have an expired green card, you can never, and I repeat, never be deported for that. I am 100% certain. I will never, under any circumstances, come on here, come online, and give information that I'm not sure of. Let me explain this. Green card by itself is an evidence of permanent residency. It is not itself permanent residency. Once you are approved as a permanent resident of the United States, you remain a permanent resident. You cannot be deported except if you commit a deportable offense. Now, basically, if your green card expires, the only thing you don't have is evidence of your permanent residency. you do not lose your permanent residency. Let me give you this analogy. Everybody who knows how to drive get driver's license. If your driver license expires, does that mean you no longer know how to drive? No, you still know how to drive. You are still able to drive. The only thing is, if you are caught by the police for driving without a valid driver license, they give you a ticket. But does it mean that you no longer know how to drive? No, it doesn't. So green card does not mean you are no longer a permanent resident. It simply means this is your evidence of permanent residency. So if it expires, it does not stop you from remaining a permanent resident. The only thing is, if you need to work or you need to use it, or you need to prove your permanent residency, you may not be able to prove it with an expired green card. But your status as a permanent resident remains intact. It is not affected. In the olden days, yes, the green card used to be without expiration date. But of course, since terrorist attack became a norm in the US, they needed to verify everybody's status. They needed to know who people are. They needed people to have reasons to update their information. So that was when they introduced the 10-year green card. 10-year green card. And of course, anyone who has the initial green card, the one without expiration date, if you apply for citizenship, they will take it from you and they will still grant your citizenship. But something, the employer may not be familiar with it because the green card of that era is different from the green card of today's era. So if the employer is not familiar with it, you may be faced with the problem of having to obtain the new green card. So that is the only thing. The next question. My sister is currently very sick and has medical issues. She is out of the country. We need to assist her in coming home. Can we apply for the boarding foil on her behalf since she is disabled? Well, you can do the process for her, but she will still need to appear for the interview herself. She will need to appear for the interview herself. You cannot, you can only do the process for her, for your sister, but you cannot appear for interview for her. And let's also be clear. If she's not in a condition to appear for interview, then she will probably not be in a condition to travel to the US. How is she going to get to the embassy? How is she going to stay in the plane for hours if she cannot appear in the embassy, at the interview at the embassy, maybe for 30 minutes? So that is not something you can do on her behalf. You can, once they schedule an appointment, she has to personally appear for the interview in order to get either boarding foil or SB1. Because if she's not strong enough to appear at the embassy, she will probably not be strong enough to be able to come back to the US. Remember, before I go to the next question, I need to clarify this. Remember that we are talking about permanent resident here. The procedure is not, maybe you are thinking about the procedure that people who apply for visiting visa. It is not the same procedure. They are not going to go through all those stress that people who are applying for visiting visa are coming for, or student visa or non-immigrant visa. No, we are talking about a permanent resident here. Most embassies all over the world, they have special treatment for permanent residents and US citizens. So it is not the same problem. So if you are thinking that, oh, she can't go through all those stress and everything that people go through when they apply for visiting visa, no, the procedure is different. The interview is different. The treatment is different. They are not treated as a foreigner because they know that they are permanent resident of the United States. So it's not a stressful procedure. I mean, for people who are applying for a visiting visa, for example, they can't just send an email to the embassy and get an interview. No, that's not the procedure. They have to go online, complete is it DS 160, whatever the process is, and schedule an appointment online. So it's not the same way. These are preferential treatment for permanent resident and US citizen. So it is not the same way. So even if she's on wheelchair, they will still attend to her, but she will need to personally appear at the US embassy for her interview. The next question. Is it possible to be refused boarding foil? What do we do then? Oh yes, you can be refused if you don't meet the requirement. That's why there are requirements. Everything that has a requirement can be denied if you do not meet the requirement. I've listed the requirement. You have to be sure that you meet the requirement. So in order to apply for boarding foil, one, you have to show if your green card was stolen, you have to show that you have filed a police report. So you attach a copy of the police report. Two, you complete from I-131A, you complete it. Two, three, you pay the fee. I think it's around $575. I'm not 100% sure. You can verify that. You pay the fee online on Ellis. 4, you attach passport photograph. It has to be 2" by 2" white background. You have to attach evidence of your trip, your outgoing ticket and your return ticket. You provide all of that. Then you send an email to the US Embassy, and then they will reply your email with an appointment for you to show up. Now, if you do not meet any of these conditions, yes, your boarding foil application is going to be denied. Remember, they are going to verify that you are actually a permanent resident before they gave it to you. So if, for example, your permanent resident has been terminated and you didn't disclose it, they will find out. Or like the person who sent the question of being in Ghana since 2017, if you have abandoned your permanent residency, boarding foil is not going to solve that problem. So yes, it can be denied. So if you don't meet the requirement, it can be denied. But if you met all the requirements, there is no way your application can be denied. The next question. If a green card is based on marriage, could the consulate request for more evidence of the marriage when applying for boarding foil? Well, I've not seen that happen before because this is not an interview about your marriage. It is an interview about verification that you are actually a permanent resident. If you travel out of the US and you lost your green card, the embassy is not just going to give you authorization to return to the US. They have to be able to verify that you are a permanent resident. So that is all what the verification is all about. However, having said that, if, let's say, they decided to terminate your green card, yes, if you get to the embassy will find out about that because they will verify they will verify that you are a permanent resident. 2, they will verify that your permanent residency is still valid, is not terminated. They will do all of that before they give you boarding foil. So it's not automatic. They have to verify it. So if it is based on marriage and immigration has obtained some kind of evidence to show that the marriage was not a valid marriage and they have made a determination to that effect, yes, if the embassy is aware, your boarding foil application can be denied. However, the purpose of the interview primarily is not about your marriage, except where the embassy have reasons. Maybe there is a red flag. Maybe in the course of the interview, maybe they ask you about your wife and you give unsatisfactory answer. Or maybe before they even invited you for an interview, maybe they contacted your wife. Oh, where's your husband? And if, for example, your spouse, your wife or your husband did not know that you even travel, yes, those kind of things can affect it. But primarily, it is not for the purpose of conducting investigation into your marriage. It is more about verifying that you are a permanent resident and your permanent residency has not been terminated. That is the purpose of the interview for boarding foil. The next question. I traveled to Guyana and just realized my green card is expired. Can I renew it at the embassy? No, you cannot renew green card at the embassy, but you can apply for, because this is probably a short stay, a short trip. If it's a short trip, apply for boarding pass and boarding foil. But if it is not a short trip, the embassy may require you to apply for SB1 visa. But usually, I will recommend, based on this fact here, I will recommend that you apply for boarding foil in order to return to the US. But you cannot, the embassy, US embassy does not have the authority to renew your green card. They cannot renew your green card. They don't, embassies does not issue green card. So what they cannot issue, they cannot extend. So they cannot extend your green card. They cannot issue green card and they cannot extend green card. So all they can do is to give you a boarding foil, which you can use to return to the US and then apply to renew your green card. The next question. I planned a trip. My green card is about to expire. I'm planning to stay for a long time to take care of my elderly parents. What can I do before to make sure I can still apply for citizenship? Well, the truth of the matter is, if you want to apply for citizenship, you cannot stay outside of the US for 6 months or more, irrespective of your reason. The moment you stay 6 months abroad, whatever number of years that you have accrued will be erased. So when you return, you have to start counting your years all over again. Now, the second issue here is, can you lose your green card if you stay outside the US for an extended period? Yes, but because you already know that you are planning to stay out of the US for an extended period, then it is better to apply for a travel document. Apply for a travel document before you leave the United States. That means immigration will give you a passport. There's a green passport that USCIS or United States Department of Homeland Security will give you, and that passport can allow you to stay out of the US for up to 5 years without losing your green card. So you need to apply before you leave. Even if you apply and it was not approved before your departure, it will not matter. The only thing that matters is that at the time of application, at the time you apply, you must be physically present in the United States and you can leave. So depending on, it does not matter how long you stay out of the US. You can stay out of the US for up to 5 years without losing your green card. But it will affect your citizenship. It is only when you return that you can start accruing the number of years all over again for the purpose of citizenship. But for the purpose of green card, you keep your green card for as long as you have your travel permit, travel document before you travel. The next question. How long does the SB1 process take? Well, SB1 process it takes longer. It takes longer than boarding foil. Boarding foil, usually you can do it within 3 days to 1 week. But SB1 process can take up to a month. It takes much longer than boarding foil, because SB1, usually you have to show why you are outside of the US for at that particular time. Unlike boarding foil, which is that you lost your green card, that is something outside of your control. So that is processed speedily within 3 days, maximum 1 week. You get that resolved. But for SB1, because you have to provide an explanation of why you are outside, what you are doing, and all those things, it takes much longer. It can take up to 30 days or more. It seems that's okay. The next question: if I am traveling internationally, can I travel with just my green card, or do I need a passport from my home country? Of course, nobody can travel internationally without a passport. Nobody. Maybe except our neighbors down south, maybe Mexicans or Canadians or something. Yeah, for those ones, they may be able to travel without a passport, because usually there is a card. There's a card. Even for American citizens, there's a American card, American citizenship card, that you can use to travel to any of those neighbors. So I presume that citizens of those countries too can come into the US without a passport, only by showing the travel card. I know that Mexicans do that, and Canadians do that as well. US citizen is able to also, US citizens are able to also use that, the travel card, to enter Canada or Mexico. Yeah, that is based on North America arrangement. But for any other country, I don't think there is any airline that will carry you without a valid passport. Even American going to Canada, you can only use that card if you are driving. If you are flying, no airline. Even Mexican, if you are coming to the US, or a US citizen is going to Mexico, if you are flying, you will need a valid passport. It is only if you are driving that you use that card, and they will allow you to either go in and out or out of the country. But in order to be able to travel by plane, by air, everyone traveling by air requires international passport. So in addition to your green card, you need a valid international passport to travel by air. But if you are going to a place where you can drive, if you are a permanent resident, you can take your permanent resident card and drive with it. If you are a US citizen, you can take your US citizen card and drive with it. If you are a Canadian citizen, if you have a Canadian citizen card, you can come to the US with it. If you are a Mexican citizen, there is a card that is given to Mexicans that authorize them to drive into the US. So if you have any of these, you may be able to come into the US, travel without a valid international passport. But if you are going by air, you need a valid international passport before any airline will allow you to board. Am I expecting more questions? Did you say one more? Yeah, I'll wait to answer it, even though we have a few more minutes, but I'll wait for the question to come in. Or if you want to read it. Today we are discussing travel foil and SB1. What do you do if you stay out of the US? If you're out of the US and you lost your passport, or you lost your green card, or your green card is stolen, how do you return to the US? That is the topic we have been treating for the past 1 hour now. So if you have questions, I still have a couple of minutes to be able to answer the questions. Okay. Is it the one I highlighted? Okay. This is a very long question. Okay. Okay. The question. I and my daughter came to USA on January with SB1 visa. I'm returning permanent resident. My daughter got a green card in 2 weeks. She's under 2 years, but I didn't receive my green card yet. Officer at the airport told me you don't need to pay something. We remove your old green card and you get a new one. 1 month ago, I called the USCIS contact center and they told me you need I-90 form. Replace your green card. But as I know, returning resident SB1 visa holder don't have to pay green card fee. If you have some information about it, could you please help me what I need to do? Also, my English isn't good. I spoke to my lawyer and she is saying you don't need I-90 form and she needs receipt number to check my green card status online, but I don't have it. No one gave me receipt number. Okay, now the issue here, there are so many things that are put together in this question. When I was explaining the process for SB1, I did mention that you have to pay for it and you pay online on Ellis. So usually, whenever you make any payment, you get receipt and they issue receipt number. So whoever sent that question, go back to look at the receipt that you are given when you pay for the SB1 visa. Usually, you make that payment online because nobody will collect money from you at the embassy. So you have to pay it online. And when you make payment online, they have to issue receipt. It is mandatory. No agency of the federal government, no agency of the United States government will collect any payment for any reason from anyone without issuing a receipt. And when they issue a receipt, especially when it comes to immigration, it comes with a receipt number. So go back and look at how that payment was made before you obtain the SB1 visa. How did you make the payment? Go back to look at the receipt notice, the payment receipt. That payment receipt will have your receipt number, and you can use the receipt number to track it. You can also schedule an InfoPass appointment. You can schedule an InfoPass appointment to go to a local USCIS office with the receipt. But you need the receipt. If you don't have the receipt, you will have to pay another fee. If you don't have the receipt, you have to file Form I-90 and pay another fee. But if you have the receipt, that receipt will have your receipt number, and your best bet will be to schedule an InfoPass appointment. You can request that you want to stamp your passport. You can request that you want to talk to them regarding your green card, but you need an appointment at the local USCIS office with a copy of the receipt, the payment receipt, which will contain your receipt number. So that is the way it works. Any other question? Okay, in the absence of any other question, we'll be stopping today. I believe that this has been very educative, and we continue to do this on a weekly basis. It is our desire to continue. So the only thing you can do to show appreciation to our effort is to make sure that you invite your family and friends, invite them to join us every week. We do this weekly. 12 p.m. Dallas time. 12 p.m. Dallas time. That is the time that we do it. That will be 1 p.m. Eastern time. That will be 10 a.m. Pacific time. And I know that right now in Nigeria, that will probably be 7 p.m. Nigerian time. So invite your family, friends, colleagues, and all of that to show appreciation to what we are doing. It does not benefit you to receive all this information and keep it to yourself. Let others benefit from it. We are sharing it so that people will prevent avoidable error, avoidable mistakes. That is the only reason. And the only